Hello, hello. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for tuning in for another edition of The Other Woman's Can We Talk? Tonight, we're going to be talking about something that all of us, if we have not experienced, we have someone in our family who deals with it, and that is depression. We have a special guest, author Wendy Shipman, who is the author of Inside of Me, who will be joining us in just a few minutes. But let me share with you all The Other Woman magazine. The last issue of the year will be coming out at the end of this month. We are on schedule, excited about it. We've got some great articles as always in it, and that is exactly how Wendy and I met. We haven't met in person, but Miss Wendy wrote an article for The Other Woman magazine, Depression Survivor. And this was in volume 1, issue 2, Her Pulsating Heartbeats. So if you have a story, which we all do, that you would like to share with The Other Woman magazine, it is basically articles written by women and men now on our truth, on our reality, on our life. It's not a preaching and teaching magazine. It basically shares topics that women deal with, and I express the importance of living a fulfilled life. The one life that we have, you want to unleash that other woman, that woman inside each of us that is often silenced or suppressed and unable to live freely because of fear of judgment, fear of other people's opinions, the way we've been raised. It could be religion. It could be a number of things. So after leaving a 20-year marriage, I found The Other Woman. And I just realized that I had a lot of life in me that needed to be set free. So before you get to a point in your life where you feel like you haven't lived, find that other woman now. Don't wait for a traumatic experience in your life. Find that other woman in your life and unleash her, set her free. Live the one life that you have unapologetically without regrets. So with that being said, thank you again for joining us, and we are going to get right on into our topic and join Miss Wendy Shipman, and I'm going to allow her to introduce herself to you.
Hello.
Miss Wendy. How are you this evening?
I am doing well. How are you?
Great, and you are looking pretty as ever.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Why don't you take a few minutes? I let them know that you wrote an article for The Other Woman magazine, but why don't you take a few minutes and tell us just a little bit about yourself, your background. They know that you're an author, so share a little bit more.
Okay. All right. Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for bringing me on the show. I think this is a very important topic to talk about. It's a topic that's not talked about. Right. And so, I thank you for bringing this, to the viewers. Secondly, I want to say that I have a mental illness. That's not something that people like to say about themselves. there's a bad stereotype about people who have mental illness. They characterize it as somebody crazy or off or that type of thing. But uh, I don't think I look crazy. I don't think I look off.
No, you did not. Whatever that looks like.
So, like I said, there's a stereotype there that people think that mental illness is a look, and it's not. Mental illness is actually a disorder that affects your mood, your thinking, and your behavior. I have been diagnosed officially with anxiety, panic disorder, depression, and major depressive disorder. Now, the difference between depression and major depressive disorder, in order to have major depressive disorder, you have to have at least 5 or more symptoms that last 2 weeks or longer. So that's where that particular diagnosis came from. So, I have a little bit of things going on when it comes to my mood, my thinking. And I've had it for a long time.
How
But
old were you, Wendy? How old were you when you were first diagnosed, and what were the signs? What even made you think or go to the doctor or whatever you did? Go back to the beginning.
okay, from the very beginning, and I'm going to be very transparent here. Um, I was depressed as long as I can remember, more so in my teenage years. But I had no idea that I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what the name of it was. I was just sad all the time. And nobody could understand that. When I tried to talk about it, it was just swept under the rug, go pray about it, go outside and play, you feel better, that type of thing. So um, I've had it for a long time. Um, and I've also had suicidal thoughts in high school. Um, so it's been there for a while. When I got diagnosed, though, I was 27 years old. It was after I had my first child. What happened was my father passed away from leukemia October the 27th. My daughter was born October the 28th. And so I had a bittersweet moment there where I lost my father for 27 years. And here I am bringing a newborn into the world. And it was too much for my mind and my body to handle. And along with being depressed and having that traumatic event happen to me, um, I had postpartum depression as well. So I had a whole plethora of things going on with me. And even the fact that I could not attend my father's funeral, I didn't get a chance to say goodbye. All of that stirred around in me. And I was just a pressure buildup that was about to explode. And so I was working at a utility company at the time, and one of the directors from HR recommended that I go see someone.
So
And
someone else noticed. Someone else noticed something.
well, they knew my story,
Okay.
and they knew that it was a lot. If anybody hears that story, they can look like, you went through all that, and you're still able to walk around and stuff, and it was not easy at all. And so and I think that's her job as an HR person, to see signs of employees when they're having problems. Whether it be missing days from work, or problems with other co-workers, which I didn't have that at the time, but the only thing that I had was missing time from work, having to leave early, because of depressive episodes. And so,
Did
she
you have
recommended.
triggers? Did you have triggers? What was your life like before all of this? Were you just happy
Well,
person or
I wouldn't really say I was. I maintained,
okay.
because like I said, I had been depressed for a long time. Excuse me, and I maintained to a level to where people would notice.
Mhm.
And that's the thing about people who are depressed; they don't want people to know, you
Mm,
know. But I believe my biggest trigger, honestly, was my daughter. Because he was waiting on her to come. You know, he was looking forward to having a granddaughter,
right.
and he missed that opportunity by a day. you know,
Mm,
so of course, doing the daily thing with the baby, having a new baby, feeding and changing and watching over and things like that, kind of drew me away temporarily uh, from him. However, um, she was still a reminder of losing my father. Not in a bad way. Not I shouldn't say not in a traumatic way. Um, but like I said, it was a bittersweet moment for me to have to deal with that, losing my dad like that, and being able to take care of this baby when I lost my dad. It was hard. So I went in to see she wasn't a psychologist. I think she was just a counselor at the time. And she basically diagnosed me as being clinically depressed, but I still had no idea of what I was thinking about. And so your head is in the way.
hello, husband. Hello, Wendy's husband.
But yeah, so she diagnosed me with that, and I still really didn't understand what it was. I was 27 years old. That was
That's
the
young.
yeah, that was young, and it still didn't hit me until I got older. But you know,
Let me ask you, when you were diagnosed, did you ever feel like if you took something, if you were prescribed something, that it would go away?
no, I did not.
Is that because you read up on it? It's not something that can be cured, or did you just assume that you were going to have to live with this for the rest of your life?
I just assumed. I wasn't one for taking medication anyway. I did not like taking medication.
Hmm.
Um, but to me, at the time, because I was young, I think they wanted to give me like a quick fix, you know, um,
Mm,
to get over what I'm feeling, right then and there, so I can just jump back into action, going back to work, that type of thing.
right.
But it didn't work out that way. It didn't work out that way because not only did I have to deal with that, I also um, went on with life, and my life was took a different turn. And
Hmm.
what I'm saying is, I got married to my daughter's father, had another baby, but the circumstances were really rough on me, and because I was um, emotionally and just mentally traumatized by some of the events in that particular marriage. And so it was a constant thing. It seemed like it just snowballed over the years.
With it
uh,
being constant, Wendy, you mentioned that people who are depressed don't want others to know. So, how did you try to mask it? What did you do what did you just wear a mask? Did you? What did you do
You know,
to hide it?
you see those commercials that, have the mask in front of the face, with a
Yeah,
smiley face. That's what I
yeah.
did.
Mm.
I went on every day as if nothing was wrong. Um, because, I had a family to take care of. I couldn't break down like I really felt like I needed to break down. Um, I had to go on and I had to take care of what I needed to take care of. So, it was a little difficult, and it can be difficult when you don't have a real good support system. I did not have a good support system, um, and that caused a lot of problems too.
But you have a support system now.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do, and he is wonderful. He is absolutely wonderful. Um,
Was that
and
Mark that peeped his head in?
it is
That was your support. Okay.
messing with the dog. Yes, yes.
You
That's
know,
my husband.
you know what, Wendy, for those who may be listening who don't have a support system, how does your support system know what you need? What makes them your support system?
Okay, so I can tell you the story about that. How I met my now husband was through I had a depression group that I actually have set up or had set up for a little while at that particular time.
Hmm.
Um, his wife had passed away. I knew of him through another group, but I didn't really know him, know enough to know him. But I saw the name every now and then through my timeline, my feed. And
Hmm.
so after his wife, passed away, um, I still, didn't say anything to him.
Hmm.
But there was one particular time when he said something that just kind of, piqued my interest a little bit, talking about how much he missed her, it wasn't a good day. And so I reached out to him and asked him if he would like to come into my depression group.
Hmm.
You don't have to say anything, it's a pretty laid back group.
And this is a group you started.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
it's on Facebook.
Okay.
It's a pretty private, laid back type group with
Okay.
people that I know from my hometown and stuff like that. So I invited him, and he came in, and he was observant at first, and then he would add on to stuff. And so we really didn't talk any much that much then either. So there was a time when I was going through something that was kind of depressive for me. And he reached out to me, "Hey, are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, okay. I'm okay." That's the usual answer for someone who's not doing well.
Mm.
They're okay.
Right,
So if you
right.
hear anybody say I'm okay, they're not really okay. So
Mm.
he reached out to me, like I said, and um, I believe it was one of those times when I really couldn't talk because I was at work, and I said, "Hey, I can give you my number. Just give me a call later. I can't talk right now." So that was the beginning of a wonderful friendship. This was months down the line. Again, like I said, I still really didn't even know him. However, we shared something in common, and that was he was going through grief and a little bit of depression, and I was going through my regular depression.
Hmm.
And so that's pretty much how we met. Uh, being able to share stories of how, um, mostly me, going through things and how long I had been going through things. And so, um, being married to him now, he already knew some of the issues that I had before coming into this relationship. So it was great to be able to have that foundation laid out first, of him knowing about
Yeah.
what goes on with me. And, we still have a great relationship. He understands, he knows when I have that look on my face that I'm about to have a panic attack, he grabs my hand and just holds it until that feeling just kind of goes away. And then we just go on with our regular day.
How long did it take, Mark? For those who are just tuning in, we're talking about Wendy's husband, her support group, her support unit. How long did it take, Mark, to recognize when you were about to have an anxiety episode, or when he needed to step in?
Honestly, it was our first meeting. It was before we got married. I just happened to visit Birmingham, and he knows that I have a fear of heights. But we went to the Vulcan, I believe is what it's called. It's a tall, almost a 30-story type place, and he wanted to take me there as a tour. And so, I'm like, okay, Wendy, you're afraid of heights, but you can't show off in front of this man. He wants to take you and show you Alabama, show you Birmingham. So I went, and it was high, and I happened to look down and see nothing but a grate in between me and the ground, and I just froze.
Mm-hmm.
I froze. And he was like, "Are you okay?" And I couldn't talk. And he was like, "You know what? Just back up. Just back up. Just back up." So I backed back into the elevator, and we went down. We didn't even go on there because
it was too much.
It was too much for me. I couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't do it. But like I said, he actually knows when, because I can tell when I get an anxiety attack, or even if it gets to the panic part, because if you don't know what the symptoms are for like having anxiety, it's a weird feeling. You get sweaty, fast heartbeat, you feel faint. Me, I feel a little dizzy, and nauseous. I get nauseated.
Mm-hmm.
And what really gets to me, though, is that I have this overwhelming fear, this feeling that I'm going to die, And if you've ever had a panic attack, you know what that feeling is like. It's so overwhelming that, oh my God, I'm about to die. Something's about to happen to me.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've never experienced it, be thankful, because that is just an awful feeling. It's an awful feeling, and it can last anywhere from a few seconds to a few minutes, or it can last up to about 10. I don't think I've had it over 10 minutes, but it's just something where I have to just kind of breathe through. Wendy, you know what this is. Don't panic. You know what this is. And if I'm with my husband, he'll know, because I begin to talk slower. It's like I can't get my thoughts together in my head, and he'll just grab my hand and just hold it until that feeling passes.
Mark, he seems such a sweetheart.
He's great
to have support
really
system like that. When you said it lasted for about 10 minutes, what about when the depression comes? You call yourself, you say you're a depression survivor. For those who are tuning in, Wendy Shipman also wrote an article for the Other Woman magazine. You're a depression survivor, but you say you struggle with it on a daily basis.
I struggle with it on a daily basis. I do.
So those who may be thinking that they might be just a little sad, but it's actually depression, can you explain a little, if you can, what is it that you're feeling? How long does it take to overcome you? And how long does that take when you realize you're coming out of it? And what do you do to come out of it?
Depression is, it's you have so many signs when you get to that place. I mean, feeling sad is one thing. When you feel sad, you got the blues, it doesn't last long,
Mhm.
maybe a
It
day.
passes.
Yeah, but when you get to the point where you are depressed, you feel like you are in the deepest part of a pit that you cannot climb out of. It's a feeling of hopelessness, a feeling of um, guilt and worthlessness, and you have difficulty concentrating on things and remembering things, and you also see like appetite changes or even weight changes. So your sleep patterns are off. With me, I have this problem with insomnia. I'll lay in the bed next to my husband. He's snoring, chanting a couple of logs, and I'm sitting over there just wide eyed, wide open. And so, but it also makes me not be able to wake up in the morning time either. So it's just so many things that you have to deal with, and it's hard. It's hard to feel sad all the time. Constant sadness. There are times when I am able to actually, well, I have actually gone to work in this state, but I always try to maintain some sort of professionalism when it came to work. Um, Knowing that I'm sad, I'm like, I can't bring this to work. Put on that happy face. Put on that. Sorry, there's a siren passing by. Put that mask on your face until you're able to get off of work. And that was a constant thing for me, and that was something that I had to battle. Um, but um, this is just for anybody who actually goes through depression. They actually know what that feels like. Um,
What about the ones who don't know but have friends or family members that are depressed? What can those people who don't know what it feels like do to help? Is there anything they can say? I know everyone who deals with depression probably needs something different, but can you share with those who may have friends or family members that deal with depression?
my thing is that you have to have a good understanding of the people that you associate with. If you know that they act a certain way and that certain way changes, meaning their mood changes, or the way they talk, or maybe even if they begin to worry or have anxiety more. Um, if you see where they have like changes in their sleeping and their eating patterns, if you're that close to them. And another thing too is social withdrawal.
Mm,
If you're used to seeing your friends out and you don't see them anymore, well, of course, the pandemic that's a whole nother thing. But before, if your friends used to go out with you and then all of a sudden just kind of stop, that's a sign as well. Because they're social distancing themselves because they don't want to be uh,
mm,
in that particular space where they have to put on that mask. They're just not feeling it. And so you can tell, like I said, and if you can't tell, ask. I mean, the worst that they could say is no. But if you feel as if any of your friends or any of your family members are doing something that's just kind of off or out of the ordinary, ask. Um, you know, be there for them.
mhm.
and ask questions. Are you okay? Are you sure you're okay? You haven't been acting the same. If you don't want to talk to me, talk to somebody else. And see, that's another thing too. A lot of people who are depressed, um, some people may even want to talk, but with me, I didn't want to talk to anyone.
Mhm.
Um,
What about
because
with Mark? What about with your husband? Do you ever get to have those moments where you don't even want to talk to him, or you just don't want to be bothered?
I've had those moments where I didn't want to talk with him, and that is because I did not want to portray to him that I was weak in a sense as a
Mm,
woman. You
mm,
know, we talk all the time, but if I get in my depressive moments, there might be times when I just didn't want to bring him down,
mm.
or if I were to say something, I didn't want to make it seem like he was the cause, or that he had to be Superman, where he had to throw on his cape
Rescue.
and rescue me. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
no. And I had to explain that to him, and I'm like, babe, there are times when I'm going to feel like this,
Mm-hmm.
and a good majority of the time, you cannot help me. It's something that I have to deal with within myself. And that was kind of hard for him to understand and accept, because he wants to be there. He wants to be able to help me. He wants to be able to, save the day for his wife. But again, sometimes you can't be saved in that particular aspect.
Mm-hmm.
So,
It's very painful to watch or to know when loved ones, friends, are dealing with that, and there is absolutely nothing you can do for them.
right,
Uh,
right,
you're probably one of the most transparent um, women that I know that can talk about depression. And I realized that when you were so willing to share your article, your story with the Other Woman magazine, and just you being transparent now and sharing how you feel, that is much appreciated. And that's the whole reason for the platform, is to let others know they're not alone. You're
you're not
not alone in
alone.
what you feel. So your book, Wendy, what in the world gave you the courage to put all of this in your book? What
Well,
gave you the courage to just spill it?
let me tell you this. It was an accident.
What?
Believe it or not, it was an accident. I actually was on family medical leave because I was depressed. And while I was out on medical leave, um, I just started writing. Whatever was swirling around in my head, I just wrote something. And so when my daughter came home from college one weekend, I showed her this one chapter. The first chapter that I wrote in the book, I showed it to her, and I'm like, read that and tell me what you think. So she read it, and she's flipping pages, flipping pages, like, well, where's the rest of it? I'm like, well, that's all I wrote. And she was like, Mom, you need to continue that.
Oh, great.
And so I'm like, okay, but I don't really know what to say. But I did continue with it, and came up with the characters in my head, came up with the scenario, and I tried to, touch with depression and anxiety in there, which I think I did pretty well. Um,
Why did you feel like you needed a character? If you were sharing your now this is the writer coming out of me. Why did you
okay,
feel you needed a character to share
okay.
your story?
Well, let me tell you this. At first, it was just a book. You know, um, I just wanted to talk about depression, not
Mhm.
necessarily me, but just
Okay.
depression.
Okay.
Depression. However, in recent months, during the pandemic, actually, my first idea was to come up with a sequel to the book. However, God is leading me to tell my story first before I get into the sequel to Inside of Me.
Yes.
And so I have been struggling with this second book, which I actually have started. And the reason for the slowdown in it is because it is about me. And I'm talking about old stuff, and it's triggers.
It's yeah.
It's nothing but triggers all through the book.
Right.
And I'm like, every time I finish something, the tears are just coming down my face, and I have to stop and back away.
Is it also therapeutic for you, though?
It is. Okay. It is, because it's like one of the chapters brought back such a hard, hurtful memory that it had gotten to the point where I forgot about it. I didn't want to remember it. And up until now, I hadn't remembered it until I think the last time I really actually talked about it. Well, I talked about it with Mark, but before that, I didn't talk to anybody about it. Nobody knew but me. And it was a pretty hard thing to type on paper. But I feel as if God is leading me to tell the inside of me, to let the world know that, hey, you can go through some rough stuff and still survive.
How did you come up with the title, Wendy? I like the title, Inside
of Me. Pretty much basically what I just said. Just thinking about everything that Judine went through, all of the hurt, all of the disappointments, the fact that the people that she depended on the most wasn't there for her.
Stop right there. Did you deal with that in your life? The people that you thought would be there for you were not there?
I did. But I spin the story around to where it was fictional. So nothing in there was anything about me. It was just fiction. But the story that I'm going to tell in the next book is about me from beginning to end. And so that's going to be, I'm kind of nervous about it. And because, I'm transparent now, but this is really going to be transparent for me, to the point where everybody's going to know what happened to me. And it's kind of scary.
And at the same time, Wendy, there are people waiting for your book. There are people waiting to be healed by the words that you will share, your story. Right. It's not just a story, it's your life.
Right.
So that's the writer, publisher, and me also sharing for anybody listening who you have a story, you have something to share. Church folk are good for saying my life is not my own. But you don't want to share your life.
Right.
We need to hear. We all have some mess.
Yes.
That can bless someone else.
That is exactly right.
I feel like he gives us whatever he gives us in our life. Yours, depression. It may be something else for somebody. We all have something, but someone's waiting for that book. If that's any encouragement, there are people waiting for your book.
And that's very encouraging. And I appreciate you saying that because, like I said, something God was saying, put that other idea away. I need you to do this. This
Yes.
is what I'm doing. And like I said, it's pretty raw and uncut.
That's good.
but people got to know, they have to know having a mental illness is not the end of the world. Just like my husband said just now, sometimes you just gotta take the mask off.
Yeah.
And show your true colors, because
Yes.
you are definitely worthy. And don't let this disease make you feel like you're unworthy. I've had that plenty of times, and it's just not true. Your mind is telling you that you're unworthy. It brings your self-esteem down. You're not good enough. You're not pretty enough. You don't make enough money. Look what you did in the past. That type of thing. No. Sometimes you gotta put that stuff out of your mind and start encouraging your own self. If you can't go to therapy, go to the doctor or anything like that, sometimes you just have to encourage yourself. Sometimes that might be hard to do. That is very hard to do sometimes, but if you can't do it, find a friend who can talk to you and pray over you and things of that nature. But you can make it out of this.
You mentioned encouraging yourself. One of the signs was when you see your friends at, places that they usually go and all of a sudden they disappear. For someone who might be dealing with that and they're ready to get back into their circle of friends, get back into being a part of society, how do they do that? And did you experience that where you were withdrawn from friends and activities and events that you usually go to when you were ready to get back into it? How did you do that?
Honestly, I never really went out too much anyway. But when I did want to go out to be among friends, I really had to push myself because when you get to a point of being by yourself all the time, which is what I was, you're used to being complacent in that one particular spot. You don't want to go anywhere. But I'm like, Wendy, you really need to go out, get some air, do something different, get out the house. And so, a lot of times I had to talk myself into just, going to dinner with someone or, maybe go join a group of friends, just to say hello, just to talk and, shoot the breeze and stuff like that. But I had to encourage myself, basically, because no one can really make you do anything if you have your mind set to where you don't want to do it. But it's very important, and I need people to understand that if you have this problem, if you have this mental illness, don't be ashamed of it.
And that's easier said than done.
It is easier said than done, but it is what it is as well.
It is what it is.
Because because saying you're mentally ill, that doesn't sound good in a sense. It doesn't sound good, but you have to think mental illness covers so many aspects.
Right.
A person with mental illness, they can have PTSD. Autism is considered a mental illness. Yeah.
Mhm.
Dementia is considered.
Yes.
Um,
Mental illness.
anxiety disorders, eating disorders, autism, OCD. I mean, there are different avenues of mental illness, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a death sentence. It's just an illness, just like it is with high blood pressure, with diabetes. Uh, mental illness is just dealing with your mind.
And stay right there. You mentioned high blood pressure and diabetes. While I was doing a little research, depression often co-occurs with other illnesses and medical conditions. 25% of cancer patients experience depression.
Mm-hmm.
10 to 27% of post-stroke patients experience depression.
Mm-hmm.
Heart attack, adults with coronary artery disease. Depression is the second most common mental health condition
It is.
among patients living with HIV, eating disorders, as you mentioned, substance abuse, diabetes. One third of persons with diabetes experience depression. So you could have this mental illness, depression, and not even know it.
Right.
So to walk around and be undiagnosed and try to handle it yourself, what would you say to those? And it is 10 minutes to 8 already. This hour
Already.
already. So
Already.
what would you say to those who may be a little hesitant of seeking help? Because especially our culture,
Yes.
it's so sad.
Yes. The African American community is by far, I think, the worst when it comes to trying to get help for themselves. Um, we come from a generation way back when, like I said, talking about mental illness was a taboo. You couldn't talk about that back then,
Mhm,
um, but we can now, and
mhm,
and we need to make sure that we get the help that we need, because going undiagnosed with something as critical as being depressed is awful, and you need to get help as soon as you can. If you cannot afford it, I would recommend trying your local churches, seeing whether if you do attend church or whatever, see if you can talk with a pastor or a counselor there. If you attend school, um, especially the younger kids, the younger generation, go talk to your counselor at school. Um, they even have grief counselors there, if need be. So uh, go to your physician, let them know, hey, I'm having this problem. I can't get out of this hole. I need some help. Talk to someone. Um, and once it gets to where you're contemplating suicide, you really and truly need to get help ASAP. And I want to share this number. This number is to the national, well, if I can find it, um, the national, oh Lord, I can't find the thing. Oh, National Suicide Hotline. Um, the number is 1-800-273-8255. And I also saw on the website, which is called suicidepreventionlifeline.org, they also have a chat line if you don't feel like talking. Me, when I'm depressed, I don't want to talk. So if anybody who feels like they don't want to talk to anybody, get on a computer, get on your phone, and do chat. And that's a great thing to have, especially with this younger, generation with technology and things, because um, it's innovative, because more younger people are actually doing things that are different than what we used to do back in the day. You know, we had to go to the library to research our stuff, whereas we
Yeah.
can go on our phones right now.
Yeah.
So it's there, you know, for you if you need the help. You just have to make sure you go out and get the help that you need. Please do not stay at home and be sad and crying, don't know what to do next. Talk to someone. If you can't talk to that person, call somebody else. If you can't talk to that person, find somebody. Find somebody. Please just don't sit there and be unhappy and miserable when somebody out there is willing to help you.
You have a whole cheer team, and I'm just blessed just watching. Everybody needs a Mark and your daughter. Is this your daughter, Alexis?
Yes, yes.
She says, I'm so proud of you, Mom.
Oh, thank you, baby.
You know, Wendy, like I said, people are waiting for your book. People need your book. They need to hear your story. And we will continue to replay this video, even the holidays, you know.
Yes. Yes.
Why don't you talk a little bit about the holidays? Is that a trigger for?
Oh, yes, it is. It is. And
why?
Well, it's called seasonal affective disorder, which is SAD. SAD, seasonal affective disorder. And you know, around the holidays, especially if someone loses a loved one and they're used to seeing that loved one during the holidays, that's a trigger. You know, missing, and another thing too, this pandemic has caused so many people to actually be indoors. They cannot go out and enjoy themselves and get their mind off of what it is that's bothering them. So that's another weight on their shoulder. But, you know, during the holidays, and it happened to me, you know, missing your loved ones, being inside all of the time, not being able to see the people that you're used to seeing, not getting enough sunlight. I think, what is that, vitamin D? I'm not medically inclined to, you know, tell you all that, but I think that's what it is, vitamin D. And it's difficult. The seasons are supposed to be a joyous occasion. But if you're not happy, it could definitely be a trigger, and it could definitely make you fall into a deeper depression. So, you know, check on your loved ones, especially the ones that have lost, you know, family members before and after COVID. Check on them during the holidays, because it's going to be rough. It's going to be rough.
Well, thank you for that warning. When you mentioned some of the signs, for those who may be watching who are not familiar, and as I said earlier, everyone probably shows different signs, but with your group, I'm sure you know some of the general signs. Share some of the signs of depression.
Oh boy. Mood swings, either loss or gain of appetite, either one of those, because you could actually eat a lot, or you could not eat at all. Your sleep pattern, your moodiness, just being irritable, decrease in energy, fatigue, aches and pains. That's another thing too. When it feels like every bone in your body is hurting, or if you're having heart palpitations, go to the doctor. There's nothing wrong. I was so depressed at one point where they thought I had lupus. I mean, it affects you so I can't even say the word, physiological at one point to where I thought I was actually feeling these symptoms when it was just stress. Thoughts of suicide, thoughts of death or suicide, decrease in energy, just feeling blue all the time. Gosh, just an overwhelming feeling of sadness.
We're going to have your mark. Everybody needs a mark. Anyone dealing with depression needs a mark. The way you share Mark in your article in the Other Woman magazine and how he has just been sharing tonight, that support is so important.
Oh gosh, it is. It really is. And I am blessed to have a husband who is able to support me when I'm going through my own personal battles, and he is right there to help me and to make sure that I don't fall off the edge. But I am so thankful for him, and he has been such a blessing to me, and I thank God for being able to meet him and encounter him like I did, and it's just wonderful. I could almost cry right now, but I'm not going to cry in front of everybody. I'm not going to do it.
I feel like crying, just tears of joy that you have him. So, Mark, I know you're listening. Would you be willing to come on a show and just share the other side of it, how you support her, how it affects you, how it's affected you all's marriage, because I'm sure it has. Both of you guys have just been wonderful and transparent enough that if you didn't benefit tonight, you just don't want to be, you don't want the advice, the suggestions, because you have definitely helped. Someone says that they're crying. Everybody's crying. Everybody's crying. So Mark says yes. Mark says yes. So Wendy, I will contact you. Yes, and even from a male point of view, because we all have issues.
Yes.
You have to be such a strong support that when somebody says they don't want to talk, or you notice that they're a little different in the way they've acted, you can't take that stuff personal. You have got to separate that.
You are absolutely right. You are absolutely right. And it's nothing against them. It's nothing against them. It's what you're feeling inside. Mm-hmm. It's like you don't have the words to actually come out and say what it is that you're feeling. Because sometimes, I know with me, sometimes I don't even know why I'm sad. It just happens. It could have been a song. It could have been something I saw on TV. It could have been something, my son said in passing or something that triggers it. And then you just get this overwhelming feeling of sadness. And it's like, why am I sad? What happened? And, you can't turn your feelings off like a switch. That does not happen. You can't flip it on and off. You can't do that. Mm-hmm. And so if that switch is turned on, and I can't really pinpoint exactly why it is that I feel the way that I feel, it's going to linger with me for a while until I can actually figure out, Wendy, what is really wrong with you? And so sometimes I have to talk to myself. I don't answer myself, but I talk to myself.
Wendy, encourage yourself, like you said. Encouraging yourself. Now, on an ending note, you called yourself a depression survivor in your article. Explain, but you deal with it. You struggle with it every day.
I struggle with it constantly.
So explain the survivor part.
The survivor part, I'm still here. I have to be here for my family. Before I got married, my son and my daughter were my main reasons for even going on. If I did not have my children, God forbid, I don't know where I would be right now. But they were actually my motivation to keep going. And sometimes you have to, if it's not your children, let it be your husband or even your parents, or something. There's got to be something that makes you want to go on and not give up. It may be yourself. You don't want to give up on yourself. But I thank God for my 2 children. Like I said, they kept me going back then, and now I have my husband to thank, and I have another son to thank, and I am just truly grateful. I thank God, although I may be sad, I still thank God every day that I'm here, and that I'm able to have a life with them, because they are my world.
Thank you so much. I am so grateful for you. I'm so happy. I think I found you on Facebook, Wendy.
Yes.
Yes, found you on Facebook and just reached out and asked you to share. And you were so willing to do that, as you were tonight.
I was so fast.
Your book, your second book, however, your first book, I want you to share with everyone how they can get your book.
Well, my book can be purchased on any online bookstore outlet. Go to any bookstore website, Amazon, Barnes and Noble, indiebound.org, just all of them. If you go to Google, just Google Inside of Me, Wendy Shipman, it'll pop up.
And it did for me. Yes.
Yes.
Your pictures and everything.
Yes.
So you can purchase a copy of Inside of Me on Amazon.com or wherever online books are sold. This is correct. Wendy's life, creative fiction, I guess it will be, based on it. It's not really based on a true story. It's not your story.
No.
But it's a story of depression. It's a story of depression. And your book will be coming out. Is it safe to say next year?
Yeah. Okay. That's what I'm shooting for. Great.
So we'll have to have you back on to share that, and definitely have to have Mark on. And thank you. Again, I can't thank you enough. I'm sure many have benefited tonight. And you all, thank you for joining us tonight on another episode of Can We Talk with the Other Woman, and with author Wendy Shipman. Your group, if someone is interested, is your group online?
Oh, it's on Facebook.
It's on Facebook.
It's on Facebook. It's called I Choose Life with Depression.
Okay. And if someone is watching,
I chose life with depression.
I choose life. What is it?
I chose life.
I chose life with depression.
Yes.
Okay. So they can find that group on Facebook. You said it's a private group. If someone just kind of wanted to chime in and not say anything, they just kind of wanted to fill it out and see, could they do that?
Yes, they can. If they're not able to get in, just shoot me a quick message on Messenger, and I'll be more than happy to, add you to the group.
Okay. And they can find you, Wendy Shipman, author Wendy Shipman.
Author Wendy Shipman on Facebook.
And,
yes.
Okay.
I'm also on Instagram as well. Inside of Me, the book is where you can find me on Instagram.
Okay, great. Okay, let me check and make sure we have all of our, Mark, here's your support, your cheerleader again. He says, you all can message him as well. So if any men are watching, maybe they don't feel more comfortable speaking with the man. Mark has offered himself also. Message me as well. So Mark, is Mark a part of your group?
Yes, he is.
Okay, great. Okay, now we could go on and on, but I am going to go ahead and I know. I'm going to go ahead and close. Thank you all for joining us. And if you have not liked the Other Woman Facebook page, please do. And you can also purchase a copy of the Other Woman magazine or subscribe at candypublishing.net. If you have a story, and we all have a story, if you would like to share with the Other Woman, you can just contact me for how you can share your story with the Other Woman magazine. And I just encourage you to meet the other woman, embrace the other woman, and free the other woman. And until next time, you guys take care. Thanks again for joining us.
Thank you.
Oh, I got to shout out to my sponsor, attorney Robert C. Allen. You can reach him at robertcallen.com, 850-438-6800. He serves the Pensacola, Florida, and surrounding areas. Thank you, you guys.
Thank you.